Hi, y'all. I know I'm streaming a little bit earlier today, but I kind of have to simply because I have things. My day had to start a little bit sooner than it normally does because I have a performance coming up this week that I have to prepare for. So don't forget to like, subscribe. I have all the information in the bio with my link tree. You're going to find Glow Melanin for skincare, Self Pleasure Toys with Womanizer. You're going to find a link to the spiritual channel, the Patreon, and all that good stuff. I don't really talk a whole lot on this channel about like anything stripper related or anything stripper related in relation to money because that's what I do on the Patreon. And I go in like very deep detail when it comes to like psychology, manipulation tactics, dark femininity. All of the things in depth are over on the Patreon. So if that is something that like you're really interested in and you're interested in getting the insights on a deeper level of the type of content that I'm making on this particular video, go check out the Patreon. I do voice memos over there. Okay. I'm kind of just using this subject as like a test launch to kind of test the temperature on what people think about this type of content because I do know that I get a lot of overlap from Shira Seven's following, but also whenever you create something and you talk about the same thing as another content creator, especially if that content creator is more popular, the first thing that people want to do is say like, oh, like you stole this idea from another person and like that's what Shira Seven says and that's what this person says. Whether you talk to a night walker, a stripper, a woman who marries men for money, we're all going to tell you the same thing. Like it's all going to be the same because all it is just rooted in manipulation, psychology, and dark femininity. So that's the reason why I kind of shy away from talking about stuff like this because I don't want people to be like, you're trying to copy, another person. So we'll see how this type of content is well received. But this is just based off of my experience in the strip club. Obviously, I don't have the same story as Shira Seven because I didn't marry to get provided for. My provision was through me working in the strip club. So I don't have this story, and I'm not going to tell y'all how to get a ring in order to be provided for because I'm not, me personally, I don't need to be provided for that bad. And I don't want to deal with someone that close under marriage to be provided for. So I can't help you with that. What I can help you with is to intermittently get provided for just so you can get closer to what goal it is that you're trying to reach in life. So, when it comes to provision, I've always had a disposal mindset when it comes to men because I was working in the strip club. And the thing about it is that working in the club, like the easiest way that you're going to get providers is when you work in S work. Point blank, period. I'm sorry. You're going to have more success working in S work getting a provider than freestyling would ever give you. Okay. Like point blank, period. Because when you're in S work, you're already in an environment where men are they're seeking something and understanding that there is a transaction involved. When you're just going out freestyling, you have to convert the person, right? You have to convert the person and kind of have it be under the guise of a relationship and then hope that this guy under like the guise of like romance and the guise of like him liking you will allow him to give you provision. So in my opinion, it's a lot more work to have to freestyle, but also I'm not trying to tell anyone that they need to get into S work either. And obviously there are going to be women that are going to say that this information is dangerous. You're trying to tell women that they should go into S work to be able to get a provider. That's not what I'm saying. So I want to make that very, very clear. I'm not saying that you have to get into S work. I'm just telling you what it is. Like, I'm just telling you the truth of it all. What you do with that, what you do with the information is completely up to you. But I'm just keeping it real. You could ask any stripper. All the women that I know that were strippers and they ended up getting married, they met their provider husband in the strip club. They met their provider husband while they were in the field, and they're provided for, bills are paid, everything is taken care of. I know more women in the club that have provider men than just regular everyday working women that have men that are providing for them. So, just giving you that bit of information there. Okay. So, how to get men to provide for me. Okay. So the first thing is, can you put your email in the chat? I am in class only lip reading. Your video has no subtitles. So I'll put it in the chat. You can send it. Hold on. Okay, cool. Okay. So everything that I learned in the strip club was applicable to everything that I did in real life. Okay. And like one of the main things I learned this early on with me dancing in the club, you never approach a customer that's like objectively attractive. In most cases, the man that is objectively attractive, you're not going to get any money from this guy because beauty and attractiveness is a rarity in men, which means that men can use it as a form of currency to replace them having a lack of physical currency, i.e., money. So I had to learn early on, I would waste so much time talking to these men that I was actually attracted to, thinking that they were going to spend money when in reality, like they just wanted somebody to talk to and they just wanted to look at naked or half naked women for free. That's essentially what the whole thing was. So the biggest thing is like finding the right target. Okay. And Shara Seven has talked about this. You have to find the right target. You're going to be willing to ask for money or to be expecting money when you're dealing with a person that you don't like or that you're not attracted to. Okay? It's just psychology, okay? Because you feel the energetic pull. You feel the energetic pull of being around someone that you don't want to be around, and so automatically you're already going to have it in your brain. I need to be getting something out of this interaction because I really don't want to go here. That's why you go to work every day, right? Don't nobody like waking up going to work in the morning, but you know that despite the energy that you're getting pulled from having to be at work, they're cutting you off a paycheck so that way you can survive, right? So you have to think of it that way. It's easier for you to deal with men that you do not like. Now, this is like a very unpopular opinion. I do not believe that you should only deal with men that are giving you money. I've never lived by that. I'm greedy. Okay, I'm greedy and I feel like as women you should be greedy too. Men don't deal with only women that they're attracted to. They deal with women that they're attracted to and they deal with women that they're not attracted to because guess what? The unattractive pygmisha cooking for him, cleaning for him, helping him, co-signing for him to get a car, giving him a place to lay his head. I'm greedy. Okay. So I would have guys that would pay my bills who I wasn't attracted to, and I would have men give me money that I wasn't attracted to. And then guess what? I would sleep with men that I was attracted to, even though they weren't giving me money. I'm not gonna live my life opening my legs for someone that I don't fucking like. Like, no, I don't want to have flashbacks with somebody and be traumatized. Like, no, like I don't want to, and I'm not saying that you have to sleep with these men, but I'm just saying I don't want to look back. I don't want to only look back on life and like not have like attractive men in my life because they're not giving me money. Like I've always had an abundant mindset. Like, no, get a man that gives me money and then I'll get a man that I'm attracted to, and then I'm gonna deal with him too. Like the fuck? Like I just feel like it's silly to only reduce yourself down to dealing with men just simply because they're giving you money. Because guess what? The attractive man is never gonna give you money. It's just not gonna happen. And I'm not going to starve myself of dealing with attractive men because they're not gonna give me money. Like to me, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense. So I really do advise for you to be greedy. You should be greedy. Deal with attractive men and then also deal with men that are giving you money. You just have to know where to like draw the line. Okay. So that's the first thing. Get a target that you're not going to like. That way, you're going to have a higher expectation of receiving money. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, you should not be investing a whole lot of time and effort into a man to wait for him to give you money. Like, one rule I had in the strip club was that a man had about 10 minutes. A man had about 10 minutes to spend money on me. That's how it needs to be in the wild. If you're out at the club, there's some guy that is approaching you. He like, and y'all are having a conversation, depending on where y'all are at. Like, I would say the club, he should offer up paying for something quickly in a club. Like, that should be like one of the first 5 sentences that come out of his mouth. Can I get you a drink? So obviously the setting is going to be different. Like, okay, if you meet some guy at like a grocery store or the gym, obviously it's not going to be this quick exchange of like him spending money on you, right? But the next interaction should be like, okay, where are we going? Like, where are we going? Like, where are we going on a date and things like that? Like, it should be pretty fast with him, like, spending money on you, right? So that was important, because in the club, you don't have time to be investing like 30 minutes with a man having conversation, and then you finally ask him for a dance. He's going to be like, you already gave me 30 minutes of your time. I got to talk to a beautiful woman for 30 minutes. Like, I got to see you up on stage. And that was another thing too. If I was talking to a guy and he seemed interested, and then I had to do my set came up when it was time for me to go up on stage and dance, and then he wouldn't come up to tip me at all. A lot of the times I wouldn't go back. Because that's like an opportunity essentially for them to spend money, or at least buy me a drink. Some men are tip shy. And they don't want to go up there and tip a woman. They much rather like pay somebody, with a dance or with a drink, or they just, give you money or whatever. So depending on the vibe, sometimes I would revisit the man for like a couple minutes and be like, okay, you saw what I was working with up there. You want to do this thing or not? Then yeah, I go on ahead and revisit them, but I only give them literally like, I just ask them, do they want to dance after they done seen what I'm working with on stage? So don't be waiting too long to like have these men give you money. Okay. Like, they should have their pockets open and you should have your hand out. Okay. Don't be afraid to be expecting money. Okay. Don't be afraid to ask for money, which like puts me into the next thing. Okay. So I have like two opinions. On this. Okay. So like yesterday, people were asking me on the live stream, like, oh, like, how do you ask men for money? I essentially was saying, like, I'm not big on asking men for money because it reminds me of people that have the homeless signs when they're like, please give me money. Or I need a place to stay, yada, yada, yada. To me, that's what it is always given. I just feel like when you outright ask a man for money, it's kind of like you're putting up a homeless sign, right? There's a level of finesse that you need to have, but I have to be clear on this too, because I actually talked about it on the Patreon. Asking men for money is a form of rejection therapy. Okay. You want to know why men are so comfortable asking women for coochie? Men are so comfortable asking women for coochie because they have asked so many women for coochie, and so many women have said no that they're numb to being told no. Well, the normal men, not the men that don't know how to take rejection. We're not talking about those men, but overall, men don't mind asking for coochie because they're used to women saying no, right? They're used to women saying no when they ask for coochie. So that's the reason why they don't care asking, because they've had so much rejection therapy. From being told no. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. The worst that you could say is no. So I do feel as though it is important to ask for what you want. I think that that's very, very important, because the more that you ask for what you want, eventually you'll be afraid to ask, and then you'll ask so much that you won't get scared to ask anymore. And then once you're not scared to ask anymore, you will learn how to not take no for an answer. And so then what you'll start doing next is that So this is what men do. So this is the next phase of overcoming. This is the next phase after rejection therapy, right? So what men do is once you tell them no, once you say no, you can't get no coochie. What do a lot of them like to do? A lot of them like to pivot and try to repackage. They try to repackage them asking for coochie in a different way. So they're going to try to suggest something else. Well, how about I take you on a date? Or how about we end up hanging? How about you just come over? And this is when they say that, well, just come over. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to talk. We're just going to have some drinks. Nothing's going to happen. They bring it down a peg. They bring it down a peg because the asking was so high. So the next thing that they're going to do, they're going to try to reduce it down to like a friend level. Like no, like it's fine. Like you can come over and it's fine. We won't even do anything. So they're not taking no for an answer. They're redirecting. They're redirecting to put you in a spot where they can still potentially get what it is that they want. So that's what you have to do. You have to redirect the conversation to put yourself in a predicament where you can get something that you want. So if you say like, hey, like, let's just say you do it like outright ask like a man for money, like, oh, like, can I have $50 or whatever? Like, oh my goodness. And the guy's like, no, I don't have $50. I can't, he'll say something about like next week. He'll say something about next week. And well, I don't know. Like, I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to hang out with you or be able to see you because, like, this $50 is like, what I would need for, XYZ. Or you just you go against you weaponize their ego and you say, well, you want to know what? It's fine. I'm going to go ask someone else. I'm sure someone else is like going to be able to give me the money or not. And these are the opportunities for them to step up. Once again, it's rejection therapy, right? When men are putting up the proposition of you coming over, like, of course you still can say no because you'll already know. You'll be like, I already know what this man is trying to do. I'm not coming over. No, thank you. So of course the man could still very well say, no, I'm just not going to give you the $50 because he already knows what it is that you're up to. You know what I mean? And so that's another way that that you have a good target. You'll know that you have a good target that if you do outright ask them money and then you redirect your asking to something else, like something of a lower magnitude, if they give in to that, then you have a good target. You just now know that this is someone that you have to pay attention to the level of manipulation that you have to do to be able to get this man to give you money. Okay. The next thing, you got to keep these men talking. Okay. You got to keep these men talking. The biggest downfall with women is that we don't know when to shut the fuck up. We don't know when to shut the fuck up. And men know this. And so this is why a lot of the time men will ask women questions. If you pay attention, you go out in the wild. If you go out and you look at couples, I always notice this. It's the woman talking nonstop. It is the woman talking nonstop. Men are not caring about what it is that you have to say. They are collecting data from you. They don't care about any of the shit that you're talking about. Okay. They don't care about your hobbies, your interests, your dog, your cat, your running club, your knitting. They don't care about any of that shit. Okay. They care about listening to what it is that you have to say so that way they can collect information, so that way they can know how to manipulate you. So if you're a woman and you're like, why do these men want to ask me for money? Why do these men have their hand out? It's because you gave this man enough data for him to realize that you're an empath, that you're a nurturer, and that you're a people pleaser. You gave that information. You did. You gave that information. And if you did give that information and you didn't give it willfully, because men are very good at reading people. Okay. Men are very, very good at reading people. If you unwillfully gave that type of information, because the thing about it is this, even you telling your profession is enough for men to understand the type of person that you are, because whether you want to admit it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, people are predictable. Okay, people are predictable, and you can tell a person's level of predictability based off of their political views, based off of their education level, based off of what they do for a profession. These are all things that men understand, that they're listening for these things. So when you're saying like, "Oh yeah, I work in healthcare," or "Oh yeah, I'm a therapist," this is a reason why Kevin Samuels was telling men to beware of women in certain professions, and it's the reason why I have a video of professions that you should be beware of, right? Because Kevin Samuels was like, if she's a massage therapist, if she's a police officer, if she is a nurse, yeah, because they understand that there are things that come along with these professions that can be a detriment to men. It can be a detriment to men because there are some men out here, they know that they're easy to manipulate, and so they won't want to deal with a woman that's a therapist. They won't want to deal with a woman that understands psychology, because he's like, this bitch is going to manipulate me. This bitch is going to manipulate me. And this is also a reason why that there are actually women that are in psychology and they're studying psychology. They look for vulnerable men. I literally seen it with my own eyes. My dad had a friend who had just got out of a divorce. He ended up he had nothing. He didn't have shit. He ended up meeting this woman. She was a therapist and she worked in the psychology field. She ran that man fucking rugged. She ran that man fucking rugged. She did it exactly how men would do it. She saw that he was vulnerable. She saw that he was struggling. She saw that he didn't have anything. And so she used her knowledge of psychology to completely manipulate him and control him. And she actually turned out to be a nutcase too, but that's like a whole nother thing. But that's how it ended up working. He was in a vulnerable state where it was very easy for him to manipulate, and she had a good target. That's what it looks like to have a good target. So when you're over here giving up all of this information and you're over here yapping and yapping and yapping and yapping, these men in their brain, they're trying to pick apart the idea of, are you a good target? So you have to flip the narrative and you got to get them constantly talking. You got to get them constantly talking. And you got to be okay with the awkward silence. Okay? You got to be okay with the awkward silence. Don't fill in the silence. Don't ask them shit. And whenever they ask you something, flip it back onto them. Flip it back onto them. Be vague. Be very, very vague, and then flip it onto them. Give them a very vague answer and then flip it onto them. And then dig deeper and deeper and deeper on what it is that they're missing out on, right? Doesn't that make therapists, psychologists, men even more dangerous in that case? Yeah, I would never deal with a man that was a therapist. Never. I don't even see male I don't even see male therapists for myself. So I would never want to date a male therapist. I would never even see a male therapist for my own well-being, let alone dating one. Okay? Like, no. So you got to be real vague, and you have to pay very, very, very close attention. So like, I remember one time I had this, he ended up becoming a regular, and I could read him. He was bald. He was a little weird. I could look at him and I could tell that out in the real world, he wasn't getting any attention from women. And I could just tell like his vibe or whatever. So he was real nice. He offered to buy me a drink, and like, we were having a conversation. And so I was really interested in getting, to know him or whatever. And so, he's talking and he's talking and he's talking. And he was talking about something like in regards to like, oh, I had asked him about like children. I was like, well, do you have any children? And he said, no, I don't have any children because of a health issue that I have. And I said, why do you have a health issue? Like what health issue is like stopping you from having children or whatever? And so essentially he was talking about like, I think he said that he was like diabetic or something like that. And his sperm count, he said that his sperm count was like 0. He said that his sperm count was 0. And he also had said that that was also like influencing like the fact that like he became bald or whatever, because he doesn't have really any like testosterone. He didn't have enough testosterone. And so I ended up finding out a vulnerability of his. Like, that's it. That's a vulnerability when like a man can't fucking reproduce. Like, that's a very, very vulnerable thing. So essentially, I kind of like leaned into having like enough empathy for him, and kind of like, I know his vulnerability is his masculinity because he doesn't have a marker of masculinity, because that's how any person would feel. You know what I mean? Like, women don't know how to, as a woman, you have to know how to use your empathy to get what you want. If you were a woman, like when women have to get a mastectomy and they have to get their boobs cut off because they have a cancer diagnosis, and there are a lot of women who don't want to get a hysterectomy because they want to have that part to really further emphasize that they're a woman. That's how you use your empathy for good without extending your empathy to another person. You have your internal empathy for the person, and then think, okay, he probably feels like less of a man. He probably feels like less of a man because he doesn't have any testosterone. What can I do? What can I do to make him feel like he's a man? Okay, so then essentially you're going to like have him run the show. You're going to make him feel like he's more dominant. You're going to, make him feel as if he's doing like a good job at what he's doing. You have to artificially create a way for you to fill in the void that they have. But you can only do that through listening to them and asking very, very probing questions. Once you do that, it's going to be really, really easy for the men to want to spend money on you. And he was a repeat customer. And he constantly was spending money on me because I realized what his vulnerability was. A man that won't get vulnerable with you, won't be a good target. A man that won't reveal anything about himself, anything, like even them showing what they do for a profession is enough vulnerability. You know what I mean? If he's talking about, oh yeah, I build houses and I work with this person. Okay, that's enough vulnerability that you can work with, because you understand that his ego is attached to his work. You can tell that his ego is attached to his accomplishments. So then, at that point, I have to reiterate the fact of like how smart he is, how strong he is. You then have to feed his ego, because that's what his ego is attached to, because that's why he's showing you all of this stuff. Look at the house that I built. Look at this. The things that they're bragging about it because they want you to pump it up more for them. They want you to continuously pump their ego on, yeah, you're so big and strong, and oh my God, you're so smart, and you're such a good businessman, and I really could learn things from you. That's why they're showing you everything that men are typically telling you. They're telling you these things for a reason. Okay, they're telling you these things for a reason. When men are looking at other women, when men are bringing up other women, when men are bragging to you about other women that they've been with, they're doing that on purpose. You know what I mean? These things that women are like, that's so rude, and I can't believe he would say stuff like that. They're doing it intentionally. They're not stupid. They know exactly why they're framing these questions in the way that they're framing it, because they have something to gain. There's information that they need to be able to get from this feedback. And guess what? Sometimes what you can do too, sometimes you can purposely knock down their ego. This is what men do with women. They humble you. The reason why men like to humble women is because they're looking for a weak spot. So if he makes a comment about your weight and you get defensive about your weight, you've now shown your hand. You've shown your hand. You're insecure about your weight. You're insecure about your weight. And so now he knows, okay, nice. I can add that to my little toolbox. I can add that to my little toolbox of things to weaponize against her because I now know that she feels some type of way about her weight. This is why the broke men get so mad. This is why the broke men get so mad because when women are asking for money, it's an ego check. It's an ego check for men because they realize like fuck, you know what I mean? I'm insecure over my finances and I don't have my finances together. And so now I feel some way because this is why they say when you ask for money, you're the one that's broke. No, they don't realize that no one is asking them for money because they're broke. That's what they don't realize. Women are asking men for money to to humble them. That's what they don't realize. It's a humbling tactic. Women are asking men for money to humble you. So that way you can think twice about where you stand in society before you pump up your chest all big and think that you're somebody because you're a man. You don't even have the finances to be able to supply a woman if she were to ask for money. Not because her ass is destitute and she's like facing homelessness. Like that's not the reason why. They love to try to tell themselves that way they don't have to take accountability for actually being broke. No one is asking them for money because they're broke. We're asking them for money because it's a humbling tactic. That's the reason why. How do they how to ensure that they associate falling in love with themselves is still associated with me though, so he doesn't take away that he's the ish and I'm in obsessed pick Misha. Well, you don't do it regularly. Obsessed Pygmisha is going to constantly be stroking a man's ego for anything. He won't have to do anything. Pygmisha is just stroking a man's ego for doing nothing. She's just stroking his ego for existing. Every time a man is giving you money, that's when you should be like stroking his ego and like associating that, okay, like this is a good reward that you're having for being able to give me money. Pygmisha does it. Pygmisha does it when she's giving him money. Pygmisha's over here pumping up his ego and she just opened up her wallet to him. So that's how you do that. You just don't do it when they're not deserving of it. You don't do it when they're not deserving of it. When they do what it is that you want them to do, that's when you're going to pump up their ego. And when they're not doing it, you don't make them feel good. You just exist and you don't remind them of anything. You don't talk about how smart they are or how strong they are or how masculine they are. You don't remind them of any of that. It has to be what's the word? I can't remember. Like positive conditioning. It has to be like positive conditioning. And then you have negative conditioning. When you don't give me what I want, you're not going to hear from me. When you don't give me what I want, like I'm not going to compliment you. I'm not going to spend time with you. Like I say it all the time. Like men respond well to action. Like you have to put yourself in a predicament where you're teaching them to associate what it is that you're getting with as like a reward. Yeah, positive reinforcement. And then when they don't give you what you want, you just bye. 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 But yeah. Um but yeah, like that's I feel like let me think if there's anything that I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm like missing out on. And you can try different tactics. That's another thing too. Me personally, I'm not big on just using one tactic because like Melissa says it like Shira says get it right then and there. I don't use get right then and there tactic with anybody or with every single person. I switch it up, but I'm going to get it fast. I'm going to get it fast. I'm getting something within the first few days of dealing with somebody. Because the thing about it is that not every single person that I receive things from is somebody that I've dealt with in person. Because me personally, and this is going to be based off of you personally. I have a really good aura that I get the most out of a person when I actually see them. So like on dating apps, I wasn't expecting for somebody to send me money before we had went on a date because I already knew that okay, I'm picking the place, and like I've always picked really expensive places because I'm a foodie. I enjoy food. Obviously that might not be your thing, but if they were able to spend 200, $300 for me on a dinner date, I would always be like, let's go, can we go shopping after? So I would always like to frame my dates in like the morning and then in the afternoon, especially on a weekday. If a man can have a date with you in the afternoon, especially on a weekday, he can spend money at a pretty nice place. In most cases, you're dealing with someone that has some money. If they can only do something on the weekend, I mean, it's not to say that they don't have any money, but that was always like a telltale sign for me. And I would work 3 to 11 too, so it would be easy for me to like do things in the afternoon. Like this was when I was done dancing. This is when I was not dancing anymore. But I'm a big fan of you trying everything. I'm a big fan of you trying everything. I don't believe that like you should only stick to one thing because yeah, there have been my biggest thing is this. You have to have a cutoff on when you're going to cut off your investment. I think that's the biggest thing. And in my opinion, that might be different for everybody. But in my opinion, if a man's not spending any money on you within like the first week, and y'all, if y'all are making plans and things like that, it shouldn't take no longer than a week between y'all are like matching on a dating app or between mutual friends or something and y'all are meeting up. It shouldn't take no longer than a week for y'all to get all of the things together for them to be spending money on you. I don't wait no longer than a week. Point blank period. I'm not waiting longer than a week. And the thing about it is that you have to have your seduction levels because the thing about it is that most women, I feel like there are a lot of women like, yes, they go on ahead and they will like freestyle or whatever. But the thing about it is that if you do anything online and you do anything virtually, it's really hard to be seductive virtually. I mean, I don't want to say it's really hard, but it's harder than doing it in person. So for me, in person is where I thrive. Okay. That's where they're gonna be like, oh my God, let's go to the mall now. Like, let's get this food to go. Let's go to the mall right now. You know what I mean? You gotta put it on them in person and like really be seductive. And that's another thing too. You should have some seductive practice. Like honestly, you should have some seductive practice as a woman. You have to know yourself to know what your seductive practice is going to be. I can't tell you that because we aren't the same person. Okay. We aren't the same person, but I look at it like this. You're a woman. Okay. You're a woman. All you have to do is think of the things that make men go goo goo gaga and make them go crazy. Men care a lot about, your lips, you know what I mean? And so a lot of the time I always would like to ask for a straw and drink with a straw and like wrap my lips around the straw that way they can like kind of envision y'all doing like some stuff or whatever, and so then he's gonna be like, oh okay, obviously you're not gonna do it like you know you're not gonna go crazy doing it like that obviously, but um your clothes, you know what I mean? Like the clothes that you're gonna wear, how you wear your hair, you know what I mean? Like what vibe are you trying to give off? Is this like and another thing too, it's gonna be based off of the man that you're dealing with. If you're dealing with some man who is like millionaire level, okay, it's probably going to make sense for you to have straight hair. It's probably going to make sense for you to have straight hair. If you're dealing with some man that he's an entry level, mid-level entrepreneur, you probably could stand to have like curly hair, or like wavy hair, you know what I mean? Because that also signals slightly like rolling around, the mattress. But then your outfit doesn't have to be very suggestive at that point. Like I always say, you only want to like sell sex in one way and in one way only. So if you're a curvaceous woman, if you're a curvaceous woman, I don't even think you should go crazy with makeup. Honestly, your body is your selling point. Okay. I feel like curvaceous women, they don't have to do much with their hair. They don't have to do too much with their face because your body is what's really going to be the important thing that everyone is going to be looking at anyway. When you do too much, that's what kind of totes the line between you being a lady of the night and you being someone that like they will want to like continuously provide for while y'all just kind of have like this thing going on. You know what I mean? And once again, that's up to y'all. Okay. That is up to y'all on how y'all want to do this. I'm not trying to tell y'all what to do. There are some women out there that are like, I don't want to deal with all of this stuff and have to text this man. I want to get what it is that I'm trying to get, and I'm trying to get the fuck out, and I'm trying to move on to the next person. Or I'm in a pinch and I don't ever want to talk to this man again, yada, yada, yada. That's going to be your decision to make. But I feel as though it should only be one part of yourself where you're like very sexually expressive. So if you like me, I don't have a curvaceous body. Okay. I don't have a curvaceous body. I have no hips. Okay. I don't got no booty for real. So my body isn't my selling point. Okay. It's going to be my face. It's going to be my face and my hair. Okay. So those are the things that I'm really going to put forth effort into when it comes to like my level of seduction. And there are like small things you can do. Like I talk about adornment on the Patreon, but your fragrance, your jewelry, um your voice, depending on the voice that you have, your eyes, like your gaze, like how is your gaze, like how are you looking at men when you're talking to men, like that's very important too. Men pay very very close attention to eyes. Your gaze makes a hell of a difference. This is a reason why when y'all be rolling around the mattress, they be staring into your soul when y'all are getting intimate. Yeah, because they want to look in your eyes and like look deep into your soul to like further a level of like intimacy with you. You know what I mean? Um, so your gaze is very, very important too. And then also your hands. Like people really underestimate the hands, especially if you have your nails done. Oh my God, especially if you have your nails done. That is another selling point because the thing about it is that the thing about it is that men, no matter what, they're always going to take something and sexualize it. No matter what, they're always going to take something and sexualize it. They do it to little children. Okay. So if you have your nails done and you're talking like with your hands, you know what I mean? Even how you like grab your phone or like grab a glass of water and like things like that, it can make all of the difference. Like honestly, it really can make all of the difference on how seductive you're coming off. These are things that like men, I wouldn't say that they look for, but it just makes a difference. It's like these very very small details that you have to think about. You know what I'm saying? Because when I hear things, and this is what's crazy, when I hear men give me reasons as to why like they wouldn't take a girl out on a second date, and things like that, a lot of it is really shallow. Like men think that women are shallow. No, men are shallow. They're very, very shallow. Like men will tell me, like, I didn't like the way that she laughed. Her hands looked too big. I didn't like the way that her feet looked in the shoe, or I didn't like the way that the shoe, like the choice of shoe that she was wearing. They are like they can be very meticulous like on these things because in their brain there's like a level of seduction that like women should have. And so when it doesn't match up to that, their brain just short circuits to something else. Like that's just the harsh reality of it. And that's going to be based upon what type of woman this man is exposed to. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, they be watching all types of stuff. Honestly, they be watching all types of stuff. So some of them they're over here watching hentai. So if you don't have an 18-inch waist and a size 36 triple D, looking like you're 12 years old with doe eyes, then like yeah, like you're not going to come off seductive to them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, or if you talk too much, men don't like that. Exactly. She said, "I'm kinda tempted to get on the dating apps before I move permanently across the country, girl. Get something before you head out. Have these men pay for have these men pay for, these movers to come. Have these men pay for that U-Haul. Have these men get you through your" well, I'm sure you're flying, but if you gotta drive, shit, have these men lend you an ear or lend them an ear when you're driving. I don't know. Get something. If women were shallow, most men would not get any play at all. Women have to do spell work on themselves to play like they're attracted to these men that they deal with. I mean, honestly, women got to do spell work on themselves to tolerate these men that they be tolerating because women aren't shallow enough. Women aren't shallow enough. It's like when women are like, "Where do men get the audacity from women?" These men are getting the audacity from women, okay? Because and the thing about it is that like I understand how if a man isn't attractive, it would make sense for him to lead with money. But a lot of these women aren't getting either one of those things. You would a man that looks 9 months pregnant and he's broke. You got a man whose teeth is throwing up gang signs and he's making $9 an hour. Like you're not getting an attractive man or a man that can provide for you or has the means to provide for you. So we can't it's not like we could really sit here and like constantly keep making this excuse, get somebody medium ugly. It ain't like it's that many wealthy men in the world is primarily made of average men. So we have to quit using this excuse of get a medium ugly man. Getting a medium ugly man, you're getting a medium ugly average man. You're getting a medium ugly average man that don't want to spend money on women. You're not getting anything. So you're giving these men the audacity because they're coming with nothing. And well, I feel bad. No one else wants him. I feel bad. Who's gonna be there for him if I'm not there for him? Who's gonna take care of him if it's not me? A girl, the government, a pygmisha, his mama. Okay, somebody gonna be there. It's like, don't you have friends? Can't your friends take care of you and help you, sir? So, yeah, that's the biggest thing. Okay, like no, no, and That's another thing too. Don't let these men make y'all fall for the okey doke of like giving them pity because they can't give you money. Like, I can't give you the money. I can't give you the money because my three baby mamas garnish my wages. And so I don't have the money to give you. I don't have the money to give you because I'm taking care of my mom. Like he's falling on hard times. Let me see it through. Chow no. Chow no. Um, uh, I look at it like this. A man meeting you with excuses is a man that can't do anything for you. Men that can do things for you, excuses don't exist in their world. Okay? Excuses do not exist in a man's world that actually can do something for you because the reason why he has money and the reason why he doesn't care about being generous or giving you money is because he's lived a life where he's refused to give himself excuses. So, if he's willing to give you excuses for why he cannot do something, that means he's constantly giving himself excuses as to why he hasn't accomplished the things in his life. Excuses should be a turnoff for you. Okay? Excuses should be a non negotiable. You should never feel an ounce of pity for a man giving you excuses ever. Ever, ever, ever. because they would never do the same thing for you. Okay, they would never do the same thing for you. If you're a single mom and you're struggling and you go up to a man and you're like, we won't have a place to stay. Then men gonna look at you and say, that's not my child. You need to go back to the baby daddy and ask him. That's exactly what they're gonna meet you with. They're gonna say, go back to your baby daddy, go to the women and children shelter. They're not gonna have pity on you. They're not gonna care. They're not gonna care about any of the excuses that you have. They're going to be asking you how any of that is their responsibility, and women need to meet them with the same energy. Now, if you can't do it for me, I'm just going to deal with somebody else. I'm just going to talk to somebody else. It's really that simple. Hold on, let me get my water. I'm thirsty. Child, I thought that comment said not Nigerians. I thought it said not Nigerians. I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. All right, let me think of what else. What other advice can I give y'all? I talked about seduction. I talked about not talking so much. I talked about your appearance and how you can look. I talked about you not liking them. Oh, also, that's another thing too. Please, 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 in the event that you do find somebody that's a provider, please don't get caught up in the trap of like actually liking them as people. Like, that's really important. That's how you're going to screw yourself out of money. And that's typically how women find themselves in very dangerous situations with men, because they end up liking the provider. The reason why you like the provider was because he was providing. You don't need to like him for any other reason outside of that. Okay. All you need to like about him is the fact that he's providing. You don't need to like him for any other reason, because once you get to liking him, men will pick up on this, and then this is when you start getting lax. This is when you start getting lax, because at the end of the day, this is a constant game. Why do you think Shira got someone real old? Why do you think Shira got a provider real, real old? The reason why Shira got a provider that's real, real old, number one, he's automatically going to see more value in someone because she's so young and he's so old. And then also, number two, imagine how much work it's going to take, and imagine how much mental gymnastics you're going to constantly have to jump through when you're dealing with someone that's younger, because they have a lot of energy. They're still dealing with other women. They're still entertaining other women. You know, you have more things to compete with when you're dealing with someone that's a little bit younger. That's going to drain you of all your energy. Doing this is already kind of draining, honestly. Okay. Doing this is already kind of draining. This is why a lot of women like myself, I don't do this shit anymore. Me personally, I wouldn't recommend trying to continuously do this either. Like, the whole purpose is to have these men give you enough money where you can level up financially in your own life to the point you don't need to be seeking men anymore, right? That's the point. Also, Queen, you see now everybody is making and posting videos on the title "Why Boyfriends or Are Having One is Embarrassing." Yeah, because it was in Vogue magazine. For an article like that to be in Vogue magazine, it's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal that everybody's talking about this because it was in Vogue. But I'm lazy. I don't do these things anymore with men to get a provider. I have enough money. I'll go on ahead and clock in and get my money that way. I don't really do this stuff anymore because it takes a lot of energy and it can be very, very exhausting. Get someone real old. Okay, get someone real old. That way you don't have to compete with all these things and you have to further your level of manipulation and having to use all these unique manipulation tactics. Okay. A man that's 70 years old ain't caring about if the grass is getting cut or you're offering someone else to cut the grass. He's gonna give you the money and say, okay, here's the money, go get the lawn cutter, go get the lawn person to go cut the grass. Okay. Like, I'm too old to do it. And I don't have an ego. I don't have as big of an ego to be competing with someone cutting our goddamn grass or not. He's gonna give you the money and just have it be paid for. You know what I mean? They're gonna be too old and too exhausted to be doing all this back and forth. Get someone super, super, super old. Okay. They don't have any energy. They don't have any energy to be doing anything. Okay. Would you still hold a man to his word for paying for something after a breakup? He claims to want to be in my corner and help me with my goals, but I don't know. Should I keep him around for money? Would you still hold a man to his word for paying for something after a breakup? After a breakup, no. After a breakup, no. I wouldn't be holding someone's word to be paying for anything. Like, if they didn't get all of that out of their system and do everything to me before the breakup, I'm not going to expect for them to do anything after. But that's why you just wait until he wants to get back together with you. And then you have if he's the one that ended it, just have him pay you money for ending the relationship. Honestly. She said get you a nice 70-year-old ladies when their junk doesn't work. Exactly. Exactly. And then and if they're trying to get their junk to work and they get a prescription, replace the pills with something else. Go get you some blue placebo pills and dump them prescription pills out and go on ahead and dump some different pills in there. Some non-erectile pills in there. You're gonna be like, none of this stuff is working. These pills aren't working. I don't understand what's going on. I don't know either. I already have 2 65 plus men trying to catch me is crazy. Like, nope, replacing pills with something else. Replacing pills with something else. He'll forget all about it. He'll be like, you want to know what? Forget it. You still got to be careful because Al Pacino had a baby at 83. When the sugar daddy wants sugar, girl. When the sugar daddy wants sugar, that's when I just like I be wishing I could be Casper. I wish I could be Casper when that happens, when they're hold on, let me get the I gotta see what this guy's name is. What is his name? What is this? I don't remember his name. He would be on face. I would see him on Facebook. What is this guy's name? I'm probably not gonna find it. I'm probably not gonna find it. But there was this content creator, this black man. And he always makes content and he wears that little silk shirt. He wears that silk shirt and he'll be playing like sensual music in the background and he'll be like I just wish I could turn into Casper and leave my body. I just wish I could just turn into a ghost and go, "Zoop," get up out of there immediately. I swear at first I thought they needed help or something, but they started to flirt and I was like, "What, girl?" I'm mad that I don't remember the name of this content creator. Oh my god. And he used to always come up on my feed too. I really wish because I'm trying to find it so I could share the screen with you. But whenever I think of a sugar daddy wanting sugar, I always think of this guy. I always think of this guy because he's like creep level 1,000. Creep level 1,000. Just so disgusted at the entitlement that he had. I went so ghost after the first day. He was dribbling all over himself mid dinner, girl. That's when you got to get the napkin. That's when you got to get the napkin and you got a little dribble there. You got a little dribble there. See, those are the once again finding their vulnerabilities. Old men have a ton of vulnerabilities. Old men have a ton of vulnerabilities. If he can't see, you better go run off with his glasses. If he can't see, go run off with his glasses. I can't see. I can't see anything. I guess you didn't see me taking this money out your wallet either, sir. Because the strip, man, I'm telling you, the women in the strip club, I mean, I've been guilty of it, but let me tell you, the women in the strip club were vicious. Okay. The women in the strip club were vicious. If these men had any type of like vulnerability where they could like steal money from these men or like put them in like vulnerable predicaments to be able to like get more money from these men, child, they would do it. They would do it. These women did not fucking play. It's been so long since I told y'all this story, but we had one dancer. She was the oldest dancer. She was like 50 years old. And I remember when I started working, they would have the spreadsheet of how many dances everybody would have. So I remember looking at her name, she would have so many tallies. She would have so many fucking tallies. I was like, how is this 50-year-old woman getting so many dances? How? Not to mention, she always would, oh my God, and like her being on the stage too, y'all, she wouldn't do anything. She would dance to Liberian Girl by Michael Jackson. She would dance to Liberian Girl by Michael Jackson, and she would dance with like her back facing the crowd, and she would like give a little shoulder action, and she would wear the same dress every day. Like she invested no time, no energy, no money into coming to work at fucking all. She would have the most dances. What she would do, she would come up to these men and tell them that it was her birthday. And she was like, hey, it's my birthday. Let's go in the back and get a dance. Let's go in ahead and like celebrate my birthday. She would be in the back dancing for them and she would never ask them. She would never ask them if they wanted more dances. She would never ask them. So she just would keep going. She would keep dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing. And so then finally the men would realize like, we've been back here for a while. Like, when is like the dancing stopping? And she's like, oh, like we could stop. 10 dances later, when the dances are like $20, $30 a pop, she's like, oh yeah, you owe me like, $400 or $500, however much it was. You owe me $400. What? You owe me $400? And they would have to go walk to that ATM because then the security would be there because the security would be right. The security was perfect because the security would be right at the beginning of our of like the little dance booths. And the ATM would be right there. So if the customer, once they would get angry, the security would be right there, and then the ATM would be right there, and the security would be like, you're gonna have to pay the woman this money. And so she was a black woman, And so she would weaponize racism too, because the club that we had, it was primarily white men that came to the club. Y'all, she would be weaponizing racism. Y'all could use that too. If you're a woman, if you're a woman of color and you're trying to ask a man outside of your race for money, she'd be like, "You don't want to pay me because you're racist." She was like, "You don't want to pay me because you don't like black women. You don't like black people. That's the reason why you don't want to pay me." And she would say it real loud. She would say it real loud so that everyone would start paying attention. And obviously, they don't want that reputation. So then they're like, "Okay, okay, okay." And then they hurry up and then they go to the 18. Like, I'm telling you, man, she cracked me up. She cracked me up, but that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like when you just have different manipulation tactics. That's what it looks like when you have different manipulation tactics. We had one girl, oh my God, this girl used to do the Coca-Cola. She used to do the Coca-Cola. And so what she would do is, her thing was she liked to sell rooms. She liked to sell champagne rooms because champagne rooms it's a very easy and very quick way to make money. Like, you're literally getting paid hundreds of dollars in 15 minutes. So obviously we had a demographic of a lot of white men, and she liked like the Coca-Cola. And so she would smuggle the Coca-Cola through the club. And I don't know if she had a pimp or not. I don't remember if this girl had a pimp or not. But one way that she would like be able to sell these champagne rooms is she would be like, "Oh yeah, like I have Coca-Cola for us to do. Like, let's go in the room and like do Coca-Cola." Chow, she would provide that. She would sink the Coca-Cola back there, and she would give them like, obviously it's Coca-Cola that costs her nothing. Like, it's this filled up baking soda Coca-Cola that she just conned these men into thinking that they're getting for free. And she's like, "Yeah, you can snort the Coca-Cola off my booty and yada, yada, yada." Child, she was just playing these men. Had these men thinking that they were going to like have all of this fun back there. And I would do that sometimes too. Oh, I would piss some men off. I would be selling dreams. Like, I remember this black guy. Oh, this black guy was so mad. He's like, "What happens in the champagne room?" He's like, "What happens in the champagne room?" And I'm like, "I'm sure you can use your imagination." I was like, "I'm sure you can use your imagination on what happens in the champagne room." And he was trying to ask me more questions on what was happening in the champagne room, but I was just so vague. I was so vague about what was happening in the champagne room. Like, I never once said that we were gonna do the do in the champagne room or whatever. And so he's like, "Okay, cool." Like, I sold the dream good enough that he was like, "All right, cool. Like, I'm gonna go on ahead and get the champagne room." So I go in the champagne room and I was like, "We're gonna start off real slow." I'm like, "We're gonna start off real slow and then we're gonna work our way up to like the finale." Chow, he was pissed. All I did was just dance until I got naked. He was pissed. I just danced until I got naked. We do pancakes and muffins in the champagne room. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm like, he was pissed. He was so mad. I'm like, "I told you you had to use your imagination. What were you imagining?" He was like, "This is it." And I'm like, I said, "You were imagining that we were gonna sleep in the champagne room?" I said, "Sir, that's illegal." I was like, "I could get fired." That's what you were thinking? That we were gonna sleep in the champagne room? I'll get fired. I'm like, "Don't you see the cameras?" And I would like point at the camera and I'm like, "Don't you see the cameras up there?" I'm like, "They're gonna fire me and then they're gonna arrest you. We can't do it in here." He was so mad. He was so mad. Some of them, the day shift girls, they would be doing it in the champagne room. Like, one time, oh my God. One time I was in the champagne room with somebody and I'm dancing for him and I just hear a woman moaning and I'm like, hopefully this guy doesn't expect this. Hopefully he's okay with me just dancing because I'm not going to do what this other girl is doing. Oh, that was terrible. That's the worst. I could get fired is another great line to use. Yeah, I'm like, there's cameras and I could get fired. They're watching us. They're watching us. But yeah, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, this girl is over here doing more than what I'm doing. No. I'm like, I hope, I'm like, I don't know if I should start singing. If I should start singing I'm like, maybe they could turn the music up louder. I was so scared. I was like, oh, I hope he don't think that this is what we're gonna be doing. Hopefully he don't think that this is what we're gonna be doing because we're not. I hated champagne rooms though. I avoided selling them at all costs. I haven't heard Lily Allen's new album, but I heard she goes into great detail over what happened. Right. Men are more concerned about us taking their money than they are about getting STDs. When I tell y'all these men have no standards, when I tell y'all these men have no standards, I've talked about this on the channel once too. There was a woman, there was a girl that I danced with. Oh God. I honestly like being it like in all serious, like not even joking. I would be really shocked if she was still alive. Like, honestly, I would be really, really shocked if this woman was still alive because she was really on like a really bad path. It was this white girl, and she would take, what's the word I can use? Um, It's the H word, okay? The really, really hard illegal substance, the really, really hard. I'm going to call it heroic, okay? She would take heroic and she would have like track marks from the heroic, and she almost burned the goddamn club down one day, okay? She was high off heroic and we had like a VIP section at our club, and it was like the long like velvet, seats or whatever. So it was a day it was real slow. And she started nodding off. She started nodding off with a cigarette in her hand. And y'all, she was nodding off and nodding off. And then the fucking cigarette fell on that goddamn velvet couch. Oh my fucking gosh. She almost burned the club down. Then one time, oh man, this was another thing that happened too with her. So when it's time for us, when the day is done, when the day is done at the club, they close everything down, and then if we get any money from like the champagne rooms or from our drinks or anything like that, they go on ahead and they give us our money at the end of the night, and then we can I'm telling you, it was terrible. She almost burned the club down. So I wasn't here for this. People only told me, and the manager told me himself that this happened. So she didn't pay her house fee. She didn't pay her house fee when she had first came to work. She was like, I'll just give you my house fee at the end of the day once I make it, because you could also do that. She took the money out of her bag to give the manager. When she gave that man money, a cockroach crawled on him. Could you? A cockroach crawled on him. The cockroach that was living in her place hitched a hike in her goddamn bag and did a shift with her at the strip club, and then said, okay, I'm out of here. I don't want to go back home, and literally crawled on the goddamn manager, was hanging out on the money in her bag, and he ended up getting a cockroach. She brought a cockroach with her. That woman was selling rooms, and these men were sleeping with her. These men were sleeping with her. It was even rumored that she left a room and a condom fell out of her. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true, but it was rumored that she had left the champagne room and she was walking out of a champagne room and a condom just fell out. I remember I remember when I worked with her, I would tell the DJ, "Don't put me behind her. Do not ever put me behind her," because I guess one day they listen, the universe is looking out for you, girl, because thank God I didn't witness any of this. Thank God I didn't witness any of this. They said that one day she came to work, she was bleeding on the stage. She was bleeding on the stage. I guess those track marks that she had, the track marks had like crusted over and scabbed over, and she was picking at them. And she was picking at them so much they were bleeding, and she had got blood on the goddamn stage. Oh my God. I remember telling the DJ, don't put me behind that bitch. Don't put me behind her. Don't put me behind her. But she was always selling champagne rooms. She was always selling champagne rooms, always. These men were paying a few $100s to sleep with that, with a cockroach toting, heroic injecting woman. They were paying hundreds of dollars to deal with that. I'm so serious. That's when I knew. I was like, men have no standards. Their lust will lead them anywhere. Their lust will lead them any fucking where. They don't care where it leads them to. They don't care if it leads them to a STD. They don't care if it leads them to death. They don't care where it leads them. They don't care at all. But I'm just glad I didn't witness any of that. Oh, and another thing too, I never went to a customer that she danced with. That was another thing too. Whoever I seen her do a dance with, I definitely wasn't going to go to those customers. She said she probably I know she wasn't charging that much. I know she wasn't, because the thing about it is that, okay, so whenever they do the champagne room, the club gets like a $30 percentage. Like the percentages of the clubs that I was working at, they were actually pretty good. If I can remember, I think that the champagne room, they would get like 30 or maybe 40%. I couldn't remember. So obviously we would inflate our prices. We would inflate our prices. That way we could, get like a difference. And then obviously you inflate your prices like based off of like what you're going to do with the man too. You know what I mean? Like, more or less depending on what they want you to do back there. So it was rumored, Chow, it was rumored that she was like selling herself for so cheap back there. Like, honestly, it was rumored that she was selling herself next to nothing because, in all honesty, she probably was only fixated and concerned about how she was going to get access to more of her heroic. So she probably figured, as long as I got enough money for heroic, I'll be good. This is the reason why when women are like, this is the reason why when women are like real male centered, I'm like, if only you knew. And people will try to reduce it down. People will try to reduce it down to men in the strip club. And it's like, no, okay? Like, these men are regular working men with families, with wives, with daughters. Like, these are regular ass people. These are regular ass people. And there's somebody in this man's life that actually think that he's a good person and isn't even thinking that he's potentially doing any of these things. If only people really knew. If only women like really, really realize like how they can be when they're in a situation where they feel as though they're free. I'm a spicy phone operator. Rates for us are pretty good too. Ooh, nice. Yeah, they're just your regular average Joe Schmo. They're your regular average Joe Schmo. Like, these men don't come off as people that, like, you just look and, like, you know that they're partaking in, like, these activities, honestly. Like, honestly, you would not think. I know, I would love to be a spicy phone operator too. I would watch Girl 6 a lot. Y'all remember the movie Girl 6? Like, honestly, I knew I was destined to be a stripper because some of my favorite movies growing up, Girl 6, Players Club, Showgirls. I knew I was destined to be doing something where I was showing my body and like being sexual because growing up, those like legit were like my top 3 favorite movies. Yep, it ended up the website literally ended up popping up for me. It's NF. I think it's NF that you're talking about. Damn, that's actually really good. That's really, really good. I'm gonna take a peek on there. I am. I'm gonna take a peek on there. Burlesque is good too. I love that for you guys. Ugh, I love it. I love it when women make money in general. Okay, I love seeing women make money. I really love it when women make money in the S work industry. I really, really like it when women make money in the S work industry because, like, come on. Like, come on. Imagine, imagine the fact that, like, you're able to make money just simply because men are so lustful. Because men are so lustful that they would be willing to pay money. Like, I'm sorry, there is not one thing that I would enjoy for a man to do for me enough to pay me or for me to pay them. Exactly. How many percentage of men do you think are into men? Girl, a lot of them, and they're turning more and more and more and more into men because it's like, okay, this is what like a lot of women don't realize. Okay, so men get so much dopamine, and like dopamine isn't a reward; it's a chase. Like a lot of people think like dopamine, you get a hit of dopamine through a reward. You get dopamine through a chase. So, like, the reason why people like scrolling social media is because you're chasing for something on social media. You're chasing for something that on your algorithm, it's something that you want to watch on your algorithm. That is what it is that is releasing the dopamine, not the fact that you're on social media. So when these men are like playing video games and then they're like watching porn and stuff like that, okay, these men, when they're just watching your regular, degular, porn or whatever, over time they no longer get off on the chase of like seeing the same people, like a man and a woman sleeping with each other, right? They're like, okay, I already know what's going to happen. And so what they do, they start going into like more nefarious things. So then this is when they go into like these more niche types of corn. This is why there's like 80 billion different types of genres of corn, because they understand that the chase is different. So then they start going into like bondage, and they start going into things where like they're harming the women in the corn. And then they chase after that, and they're like, okay, I know what to expect from this now. Then they start going on to dealing with like they see two men with each other, and it keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then before you know it, they're over here watching animals, like they're over here watching bestiality. Dang, she gets paid 199 a minute, $70 an hour. How long have you been doing this, goddess? How long have you been doing this, goddess? And also too, I mean, also too, if there is anybody that is in like S work, because I haven't done anything like that, but like I do talk to you guys about it on like the Patreon, and I do talk to you guys about it on here with like my experience with dancing, the tactics that I use for like OF and stuff like that. But if any of you all like ever want to share like anonymously like any of your experiences that you've had with like S work and things like that, you'll stay 1,000% anonymous. Please feel free to shoot me an email. Queen, um, what is it? Queen Sovereign Being at gmail.com. I have the email in my bio here on YouTube, but if you ever have like any story or anything like that that you want me to tell you, and it doesn't even have to be like a horror story, like if you have a story on like how like liberating it is, or you were able to um gain financial freedom, or you were able to leave like a toxic situation or something like that through you finding S work, or you've been able to heal through some type of sexual trauma, please feel free to send me an email if that's something that you would like to have be expressed, and I will do it. I'll do it anonymously. Shout out to Goddess for putting the women on game. If anyone ever wants to get into the phone operator niche. Oh wow, I'm on the site, and this girl says LA pegging. I'm not going to say the actual word, but it starts with an F. She says jagged boy um kitty subs only. So she only wants a sub. She says, if you're not a jagged or down low man ready to assume the position with your ass in the air for mistress, you should not be contacting me in any way. All I have is rock hard deek for you to worship on your knees. You don't have to wonder, because yes, I am 100% female, but I slang this BBC strap on around like the king of the fucking jungle in that boy pussy. She put a lot of Y's. I made like $600 in a day last week. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah, and it doesn't look like you need to, like wow, this is cool. This is exciting to see. I'm loving looking at these girls' pages. Like, I like seeing all the niches that they're in. Yeah, I'm seeing that you can be completely anonymous. You can make faceless accounts too. Ciao. Oh my god, this listen, I wanna do this. I want to do this. Like, I love it. Like, they have, like, their custom little profiles. They do, they have their, like, custom little profiles. I'm looking for another one. I'm looking for another, like, niche that was, like, real good. So this girl's like a therapist. So this girl is monetizing off of men, like, not feeling masculine. So she's like a therapy niche, and she actually has a lot of this girl has a lot of people. What is she offering? Okay, so this girl looks like she does everything but subplay. Like, they have, like, banners and stuff that they make. Oh my god, this is so cool. It does take some HTML coding, though. I'm seeing. And they have all types of niches. They got BBW, ebony, Latina, Asian, housewives. They have all the other words that I can't say, but yeah, they got everything on here. They got everything on here. What's this girl says? She says, curving a sultry black goddess to make your block throb. Skip the chit chat. Let's dive into filthy phone schmecks that leaves you drained and begging for more. I'm not going to say her name. Um, she says, I don't want to say that. My voice, it's pure addiction and dripping with desire, turning simple words into, all right, so she does JOI sessions. That's a good one. That's a good niche. JOI. JOI is a really good niche if you all are interested in that. She says, turning simple words into explosive JOI sessions or steamy role play, where I can't say that. But she says, new here, but experience in making people just like you worship every curve. When I had fans only, I would actually do a lot of JOI when I had a fans only. Let me find one more. How long did it take for your profile to kick off? JOI is I'm trying to say it in a it's jerk chicken instruction. Jerk chicken instruction. Get their money on the website and invest in a business. I heard that. First day, I made $100. Yes. You need to bid to appear in the first few pages. Do you have to pay money to bid? Like, this girl, she's in the home wrecking niche. She says, I am so much more sexier than you imagine. My sweet voice makes you think about giving me everything I want to. I can't say that. I'm so much better than your wife. You'll risk it all. I own your deek, money, ass, and thoughts at work and at home. Work from home for me. Eat me at your dinner table. Well, girl, you got here late. Y'all already know I only talk about the subject for the first hour. After the first hour, you gonna have to rewind the live stream. You have to rewind the live stream. I'm running out of patience and kindness. I have to drink just to talk to customers. I'm dancing until tax season and then switching over to being a dom. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I dance sober because I dance sober, but after a while, that man was started getting on my nerves. I had to start puff puff passing. I had to start puff puff passing before I went to work just to be able to tolerate them. Yeah, I only pay like $6 to $7 at a time though for a return of investment of $100 is pretty good in my opinion. I agree. Like I completely agree. Yeah, there's all different types of niches. Oh my god, I love this. I can't say the name of the website. It's NF. Goddess put it in the chat. Just scroll up. I would recommend like $30 in bid money to start. That's what I was thinking. I was like, they probably want you to bid over $20 for them to really want to push your page. Probably to push your page. Mm-mm-mm. She said I can't. She said I can't. Exactly. It's advertising. It is. It's advertising. But I only peak during peak times. I was lucky. I threw stacks at black women for the greatest luck ever. Thank you. Goddess did. Cause she said I'm looking to the hold on. I have to find another ad that's like really, really good. Oh, let's see what this girl says. Hers doesn't say much. It says, I am going to make you cream all over this beautiful fudge candy land. She says some other things too, but I can't say that. Oh, so this girl is a dom. She does like humiliation. Interesting. Wow. So this woman is selling a she's selling a psychological type of thing. She's selling a psychological type of thing. This is interesting. Dude, this girl, I like this girl. Dang. What? This woman's killing it on here. She says her thing says lock it limp wrist loser. I know this woman's making really good money. She has a whole psychological transformation that she's doing to these men. Can probably get ChatGPT to write the bio or get a good idea. Sorry, y'all. I went off on like a whole thing, but that was just too interesting. That was just too interesting. Like that was really, 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 really interesting. Like so interesting. I don't know. I don't know. She said I have 4 niches. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's super cool. Cause like where okay, so the thing about it is that like no, I appreciate it because the thing about it too is that like obviously like in like pole dancing and like aerial arts thing, there's a lot of women that I know that do like they do the phone stuff. There are girls that I know that do the dom stuff too. Yeah, there are quite a few women that I know that are there are a few women that I know that are doms. There are a few that I know that are still stripping. And then there are a few that I know that do the whole like phone phone operator thing. And I love that. I do. I love that. The thing with men, no, she's right. She said the thing with men is that when they are very unattractive, they look really scary. No, for sure. Like whenever I was watching a documentary about Harvey Weinstein, and I was just like, "Ooh, he looks scary." He looks scary. I would be saying me too too. I would say me too too. Like, "Oh, that's traumatizing." These men are so dumb. Main guy just called and asked if I had signed up for a timeshare. They called trying to scam him. He hung up, but was stupid enough to call me, bothering me about this shit. He's so old. He sounds like he's so old. He sounds so old. There's gotta be some psychological study to be done about why they so often look like monsters. It's probably not only psychological, but I also believe that a part of it is biological too. Like, in my opinion, I do believe that there is a level of, like I do believe there is a level of, like, biological wiring in which humans have a higher level of beauty than other people. And then I just think that psychologically, it just gets compounded upon when it comes to, like, societal differences and stuff like that, is what I think. Ba-na-na. "Honey, did you buy a timeshare?" Like, why would a man even know that you bought the timeshare? Like, why would they need to call you for that? That doesn't even make any sense. She said, "Let them dry like SpongeBob." I'm hollering. All right, I'm gonna stand here for like 15 more minutes and then I gotta get off of here. What is going on? Mm-mm-mm. Here we go. Profile. Okay, cool. Ciao. If you don't know where to start, start in the role play category. It's pretty easy and creative. She said you can buy model pics too. Buy model pics? So does that mean you're buying them of other people? Like, what does model pics mean? Like, as you lost weight, how did you continue and not get too comfy? I always say, if you don't feel like you want to eat in a deficit, just eat at maintenance. Like, just take a diet break. Like, don't overeat, just eat at maintenance. And just like be comfortable eating at maintenance for a little bit and then go get back on your deficit eating because the smaller you get, the harder it's going to be, the longer it's going to take, the more effort you're going to have to put in. Yes, and it's legal. You need the license if you're not representing yourself. Where do you buy these pictures? I appreciate you, girl. Thank you for helping us out over here. I feel like I should be paying you for this information. I'm doing OMAD during the week and 2MAD during the weekend. I can't do that because I have to have my meals timed around me working out. And my stomach is going to feel too heavy if I eat once a day, because then that means that I wouldn't have anything to fuel my workout. Because when I did OMAD, I would eat like relatively close to when I was going to go to sleep, because it's just easier for me to be busy throughout the day and then eat after, as opposed to the opposite. Because it's like I ate already. Now I got to go through the whole rest of my day thinking about food until I go to sleep and then wake up and then I can eat again. For me, it's just too much to think about. But that's what I do. I just like to take a diet break and just eat at maintenance. And then when I'm ready to hop back on there and like start eating in a deficit, then I'll go back to eating in a deficit again. No, you don't have to be extreme. You don't have to be extreme, because the bigger weight, the bigger you are, and the shorter that you are when it comes to losing weight, the bigger you are, the less effort you have to put in to lose weight, because in most cases you have poor habits. If you're drinking your calories and eating sugary drinks, all you got to do is cut out your sugary drinks. If you're eating fast food, all you got to do is stop eating fast food. I don't recommend anybody to do something that they can't keep up with, because you're just going to gain the weight back. And as someone that did bodybuilding, I don't ever recommend anybody to ever do anything extreme. I don't want that for y'all. Y'all are talking. I was 5'1" and I was 220 fucking pounds. I gained 70 pounds in 3 months post bodybuilding show. I will never tell y'all to do something extreme. Never. You want to lose it, exactly. You want to lose it slow. You want to lose it slow, you want to lose it steady, and you want to make sure you're losing it in a manner that you can continuously lose it. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. Queen, I saw your pole videos and it made me want to take a class. I did it and it was so hard. It's incredible what you guys do. Yes, it can be. And you can cross train too with pole dancing. Like, you can go to the gym and you could cross train to make it a little bit easier for yourself, for you to gain like a little bit more strength. Mhm. Yep. She said it's so good and vinegary. Let me make the sandwiches at home. Oh my god, my we're not friends anymore, but I remember we took a trip out here. Not exactly here. I forgot what part we went to. I forgot what part of Florida we went to. But we went to Florida and she really wanted a BLT. And so I was like, okay, I'll make us a BLT. And I made the BLT exactly how you would make it at any sandwich place. I got us a big old long, you know, sandwich, our sandwich bread, our little long sub bread. And, I went on ahead, I made the bacon. I added turkey. I added turkey because BLT is bacon, lettuce, and tomato. So I added turkey to it. So I put turkey on there. I put bacon. I put lettuce. I put tomato. I put I think I put mayonnaise on there, and then I always use that submarine dressing, that sandwich submarine dressing. I threw some cheese on there. She was asking me for a BLT every fucking day. She was asking for a BLT every fucking day. It's extremely hard for me to be skinny, skinny. It's really, really hard for me to be skinny, skinny. I'm already really muscular, and like in order for me to be skinny, skinny, I'm talking stomach flat skinny, I'm not gonna have a period. Okay. I'm not gonna have a period. So I accepted the fact that like my torso is so short, I'm always gonna have a little bit of a belly. I'm always gonna have a little bit of a belly. I like to my body likes to store a lot of fat on my back and on my stomach. It just is what it is. Like I've just learned to accept it. I've learned to accept it. I'm tired of living my life having to fit. I'm tired of living my life having to fit under these like dumbass standards. You know what I mean? I just care about me being healthy, my hormone health, and what my body can do. She said, "You'll love the tips if you decide to do the phone thing. I've gotten 50 to 100 and 200 before." Yes. Y'all, the gospel been done. I'm about to get off of here. I'm about to get up here. I can't go 2 hours talking about the same old thing. I can't. I usually talk about everything the first hour, and then we kinda just, like, talk about whatever, but what else am I gonna talk about? I told y'all everything. I told y'all everything that there is to know. And I have the Patreon. I go in much deeper detail on, like, the things that you can do on the Patreon. Yeah, I'm like, "It's been 2 hours." I'm like, "Chow." You're gonna have to play it from the beginning. Yeah, always remember the first hour, that's when I actually talk about the subject matter. Anything after the first hour, ciao. We get whoever watches this live stream and things like that, please let me know in the comment section once this is uploaded. So that's all for today, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye.